Apple to Charizard to WNBA. The random things that we talk about here on stream. Thank you so much for tuning in and clicking the video. My name is Ichiro. We go live Monday through Friday to talk just basically everything collectibles. And we're going to start off with talking a little bit about Apple. So computer history is underway, as always. Well, at least until it's in the headlines, but there's always something that happens every day. So Apple's founding papers return to auction. Okay, so every couple of years, we're going to have the cycle of somebody buys something for a lot at an auction. A couple of years pass, boom, it's back in that auction. Christie's is preparing to auction off the original partnership contract that created the Apple Computer Company on April 1st of 1976, valuing it in the region of $2 to $4 million. I really am curious who the buyers of this would be for paper. I mean, The Office. We love Dunder Mifflin. It's a great series. But I don't know if even Michael Scott would go and pay $2 to $4 million on a piece of Apple merchandise. The original three-piece document served as the contract among Steve Jobs, Steve Wozniak, and Ron Wayne. The agreement established initial shares at 45% for Steve Jobs, 45% for Wozniak, and 10% for Wayne. Now, if you want to go down the line of other history around Steve Jobs and Apple, well, one of his autographs have previously went for $180,000. The Birkenstock in which he wore went for $200,000 at one point. Imagine just being that successful or that much of a celebrity. And then I was looking and I found back in the day, if you were going to buy one of the Apple computers, it cost $666.66. But then I guess Steve Jobs took Polaroids of it, which then sold for $2,100. Like, the money that we're looking at is crazy. It's absolutely crazy. So within Pokemon realm, if we can switch things a little bit, and if you're a Pokemon collector, we've been uploading a ton of shorts around that. Charizard's Charge. This is just an article from Pokemon highlighting what's going on with Charizard, just because it's simply that popular. Celebrate Charizard throughout the world of Pokemon. So within the trading card game, we have this coming up with the Ascended Heroes release. Phenomenal. For Pokemon Legends Z to A, that's going to be in the game. Pokemon Unite. Have you guys ever played Pokemon Unite? Like, I'm somebody that played League of Legends, and I've tried some other games, right? Overwatch, yada, yada. I briefly tried Pokemon Unite at a point. It's actually a pretty fun game if you've never tried it. Pokemon Masters EX, Pokemon Center, the list goes on. But I just think it's absolutely hilarious that Pokemon is able to make an article strictly about Charizard. And the other question I have for you, even though I haven't asked a question yet, would you buy any of those Charizard plushies? Now, let me ask again. If they cost $100, would you go and buy those? Or only if it's like 50 or under? I feel like there's a threshold for different collectibles. But for Phantasmal Flames, one of the recent releases, if you pull one of the Charizard cards, well, currently ungraded, it's worth $610. So still not enough to buy a Steve Jobs Polaroid of one of the original computers. WNBA cards are apparently soaring on Whatnot. There was an article that came out. The company says WNBA cards grew 3 times faster than NBA cards on the platform over the past year, tacking on a 1,600% growth in search volume in 2025. So keep an eye on that. And then we also saw that autographed WNBA items grew more than 1,000%. There's no S on the end of that, by the way. Grammar. So let's go down the history. Let's go down the history, because that's what we're going to be doing today. I was looking around online, and I'm trying to find everything about collectibles. I'm trying to learn, because there's a bunch of you that are experts, whether it be Pokemon, whether it be One Piece, whether it be within the sporting card world, or something that's related to those different things that aren't card related. So back in 2011, GQ did covers of the 25 coolest athletes of all time, and Muhammad Ali and Tom Brady were on it. This was rated a 9.2. I can't tell if it's just the angle, but the spine of this magazine does not look kosher. And then this one as well. I guess you can't really hide anything, right? Like if the page has ever been opened, you're going to have that crease. So there's no way you can get that high of a rating, but cool to see something along the history lines. And then I came across this article, and this is something that you would just imagine how hard it would be to hold on to this information over the years. Obviously, nowadays, everything's digital, online, but the fact that these stories rung true, this is from sportscollectorsdigest.com, and this was an article back in 22, but it says, hobby pioneers honoring early collectors who laid the foundation for the sports collectibles industry. And think about now, right? Think about right now. How many people do you see on the news or mainstream media, maybe even one of your friends, that are really into something specifically, right? Whether it be a stock, whether it be a collectible of sorts, whether it be a certain way of life. At some point, there's somebody along history that's like, hey, you know what? This is a thought, this is that. Maybe you have a friend that's kind of a pioneer of something new, even though in 2025, obviously, we're at a point where there's a lot of things that are just kind of repeated in a way. But holy smokes. So scrolling down a little bit, first of all, look how old these cards are. And then the first person that they have listed on here is from 1878 to 1962, Arthur H. Falwell. Okay? And the fact that this is even here is insane. So let me just read under this, and then we'll go to the next part. Falwell was a writer and editor for the New York Herald Tribune. In his spare time, he wrote gags for a syndicated comic strip titled Mr. and Mrs. He also wrote for The New Yorker. One such article appeared in 1929, A New York Childhood, Cigarette Pictures. Falwell accumulated cards from the first tobacco card heyday in the 1880s and wrote about his experiences. His childhood cards were in a box next to him when he wrote the article. And this is just a long list of other people from back in the day getting into the hobby of collecting. And I just think that that's so cool that this has been preserved in any sort of fashion. So absolute kudos to them. And another thing from Sports Card Collectors Daily, they had another one back in 2010 that I was able to find that said titled 10 Things We'd Like to See in 2011. And I picked out two that I think are sort of relevant nowadays. 5 weeks are left in 2010, a year when card companies continue to watch every penny and pray to keep a share of a market that continues to be challenging at best. So we look out at the card market right now, which sort of like a monopoly in a way where you only have 1, 2, 3 kind of big players, right? But to think back in 2010, it sounds like these card companies were struggling. So think about the ebbs and flows of just life in general. And now that was an opening, so that wasn't really one of the points. But this one packs with value of things that they would like to see again in 2011 back in the day. The card companies need to do a better job making sure as few people as possible feel like they wasted their money on boxes of cards. Somehow, someway, today's product has to stop becoming old news. More autographs of better quality. Good vintage buybacks. Something. Too many higher-end products don't hold their value beyond a week or two. So do you feel that this has been corrected in a way? Because nowadays you say, hey, you know what? There's a Pokemon, there's a sports card pack out there. People are like, go and buy the cases, but don't open them. Because every time you see somebody that opens a case, they're like, well, I just sent money on fire. And I've seen that nonstop. But it's funny that this is something back in 2010 that was still thought about at the time. So continuing on our history lesson, Ichiro, are you familiar with the Major League Baseball player that was recognized around the world? Well, hold on a second. This is an autographed moment of Ichiro pitching, but he's an outfielder. What the hell? So this is actually from a time when he threw out the ceremonial first pitch back in 2022. He did actually pitch in a regular game with the Marlins back in 2015, but this one is interesting because this was just a opening pitch. Now, the other component of this that I'd love to share with you that I think is really cool, and I'm struggling like hell to actually find these. Okay. So Topps Stadium Club. There's a bunch of different sets without there. There was a point where Topps had the Stadium Club. it went on for a couple years. They stopped at a point, and then they actually randomly did a release of it in 2008. So originally the product went up until 2003. It stopped for a couple years. 2008, they have a random release of it, and then they don't have another release until 2014. So I went and I tried looking up what these packs even look like. And so this is it. And it had Ryan Howard on the cover, which makes me think, was this at the time when I was playing baseball games all the time? Because he was on the cover of almost every single video game. And so it would make sense that he was also that for the pack of cards themselves. And then Stranger Things. Have you guys seen the high-tech cards from Topps? High-tech is like an acolyte type formation of the cards or material. And I was just looking through Stranger Things cards being like, okay, maybe we'll buy some, right? And I found these because this is like the most irrelevant character within the entire show. But you can buy it for $1.37. $1.37. So here's the breakdown of like what high tech is for Topps. If you end up going out buying a card pack and it says high tech on there, there's Star Wars, there's an older Stranger Things one that was a part of it. But high tech is a legacy Topps brand that originated with 1998 Topps Tech, introducing one of the first products fully printed on see-through acetate technology. That was the word that I absolutely mucked up a moment ago. As the tech brand evolved, it became renowned for its strong checklist featuring a wide variety of unique patterns and parallels utilizing this distinctive technology. Now that history is being brought to bear on Netflix's Stranger Things universe with the 2025 Topps high-tech Stranger Things set. So that was a release that happened, again, not too long ago, but you can actually see on Topps that there is a multitude of different brands that have that associated with it. So I know these streams are a little bit short, and if you're somebody that tunes in a lot, you'd be like, okay, what the heck is going on? But one thing that I'm, I guess, kind of personally doing is we're figuring out everything about collectibles. And we've been uploading a ton of shorts, and I know that's kind of quick fire, but if you're wanting something that is quick fire and a sling of news, I think we've uploaded like 15 to 20 shorts over the past little bit. I have like another 30 or 40 that I need to get through over the past couple of streams. The numbers have been absolutely unreal across TikTok, Facebook, YouTube is wild. And I posted a video clip of when we talked about Fortnite the other day because there was a sealed Fortnite graded 10 mint, whatever, sealed copy for like $20,000, $23,000 plus. And so I posted that, and on YouTube, we've gotten like 23,000 views on it, which is crazy. But the fact that that story is getting out there, I'm curious what that does to the price of things. Because I've not had many videos or uploads that have gotten an unreal amount of comments, to be truthful. But that one, the amount of individuals that commented saying, wait, that goes for that much? I have like several that are just like sitting in a box at my house. And I've had about 30 different people, maybe that's an exaggeration, 15 different people comment that. And that's of like a small subset of me uploading to short. So now, does that kind of screw with the supply of graded Fortnite games? And with collectibles continuing to get kind of the notoriety that we're continuing to see every single day right now, especially with these major sales, do we continue to see a trickle effect of stuff that, you know, went for a high price, made a headline, and everybody's like, oh my God, let me go rush to grade or let me go rush to sell? Does that have a trickle down effect? Something we're going to be watching and bringing to you every single day. Again, any likes, shares, comments on the stream are greatly appreciated. We do the RWA Segmints podcast. Just a note for this week, the upload is probably going to be a little bit later. I'm working with somebody that said, hey, we're down to record this week. And then they're like, hey, what's going on with this? Even though everything should have been good. So hopefully having that released around Friday, maybe on the weekend, maybe on Monday. And then I do have another upload coming next week. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. And if you're wanting to listen to that podcast, you can check the link down in the description below. Or if you type in RWA Segmints, but the mint is with an I, on any podcasting platform, you'll be able to see it there. Talking with a bunch of founders and people that are just trying to make it work within the crazy world that is building a brand. Thanks for tuning in. I'll catch you tomorrow. Have yourself a good one. Peace.